What if you could know how many people are playing all the PlayStation 4 games? There's a reason why companies don't always publish their sales numbers. It's because the facts of running a business are more oriented towards what can be sustained than the spikes of activity. But what if you could know that too? Would that maybe influence what you think of how the gaming industry works? Maybe. It's definitely making me consider some things. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, let's talk about my PS4Life possibly leaking the number of players for every PlayStation game. Okay, so first we have to talk about what MyPS4Life is. Well, if you can imagine like a Facebook rewind that goes back of all 5 years that PS4s existed and creates a little video montage telling you about your time gaming, your successes, trophies, etc. Now, a massive amount of credit needs to go to an individual on Reddit by the name of GameStat. Now, GameStat realized that these videos contain a few things. First, it tells you how many people got any given trophy, and second, it tells you how many % of people playing that is. In his initial post, he used this example. 33,764 players earned the Photo Bomber trophy in Fallout 76, and that number accounts for 8.3% of all the players playing the game. So with a small amount of math, this yields a total number of people playing the game. With Fallout 76, it's only 406,000 people. Not a lot. Now what he's asserted Sony has done in creating the MyPS4Life feature, and including specific numbers and how much of the total amount of players that accounts for, that they have accidentally disclosed the number of players that are playing any given game. In order to find out the total number of people playing a game, you would just have to make a MyPS4Life video about the game, which would then give you all the information necessary to complete the calculations, which are not complex calculations, might I add. Now, it's important to take this with a couple of caveats. You have to keep in mind that trophies are regional in a lot of cases. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't a lot of games with global trophy lists. In fact, you'll see that in the actual list of games that have been posted at gamestat.com, that's GAMSTAT.com, it seems like most of them have global numbers. A notable exception is, of course, Fortnite, which still manages to hold 10th place for most players, only counting players from Europe and Australia. You'll notice the rest of the top 10 are global numbers. Now, there's another caveat that's extremely important, particularly for multiplayer games, and this comes from Built to Last, who apparently works for one of the games listed at gamestat.com, and the number given is more than double their total sales for the game. What Built to Last assumes this means is that guest accounts are counted in that, and multiplayer games are more likely to have more people use guest accounts. Now, that doesn't mean those numbers should be treated as illegitimate. This is something that probably shows up in the most legitimate possible reading of any statistics. It's just unavoidable. That's how multiplayer games are. But keeping in mind that there's less incentive to do this with single-player games, there's some fairly interesting things we can pick out. For instance, Mirror's Edge Catalyst, considered a failure, has been played only slightly less than Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus, which very likely had a larger budget and is considered a success by all accounts. I think there's a few insights we can gain for that. First, let's look at this instance specifically. While I very much love Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus and do consider Mirror's Edge Catalyst inferior to the first Mirror's Edge and to Wolfenstein 2, honestly there's something there. Maybe they should give that franchise another go. I would love it if they took the criticism to heart and gave us the game that should have been. There's evidence that people played it despite it being not as good, or maybe simply having different tastes than I do as to what they wanted out of it. I don't know. We can also see that Heavy Rain was played by significantly more people on the PlayStation 4, keeping in mind it's a port of a PlayStation 3 game, than either of those games. In fact, more than actually both both of them put together. And while I'm cherry picking just a couple of games that had results I was a little bit surprised by, keep in mind that these are cumulative totals. Some games become free eventually with PlayStation Plus, and more people end up playing them than might have paid for them. Sometimes by pretty wide margins, I would guess. So don't regard this stuff as concrete information, regard it as maybe a kind of guide. I would guess that more accurate information is distributed to the actual publishers of games, and I'm sure they change the decisions that they make around development and publishing games based on that information. But never have we really been able to even kind of look under the hood in this way. In fact, to some degree, this probably wasn't possible 20 years ago. If you remember how angry people were when they announced the Xbox One was going to be online all the time, you would know why this wasn't possible entirely a generation ago. But still, keeping in mind a lot of companies choose whether or not they disclose how many people are playing their games, and Sony doesn't have a lot of incentive to share information that might affect their situations on account they have a business relationship with them, but it's out there now, and we can start drawing some interesting conclusions from it. What do you think? Were you surprised by some of the games and their position on here? I was. 51 million people playing Grand Theft Auto. I mean, I should have known, but it actually was kind of like, wow, that's a lot of people who have played this game over time. Leave us a comment, let us know what you're thinking, and if you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. The best way to see them first is to click the subscribe button, and do not forget to click the notification bell. As always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero. We'll see you next time, right here on GameRanx.